Welcome Libra to your Libra December 2021 reading and predictions. Hi, I'm Nigel Saint James. For those of you who are stopping by for the first time, welcome. Hope you're doing well. And for the subscribers, always great to see you. Much love and affection, good energy to you at all times. Well, December is a busy time of year for people's spiritual calendars, isn't it? I think it's the 28th of November through to the 6th of December, which is Hanukkah for the Jewish members of our audience here. Then we get the 8th of December, which for Buddhism and the Buddhists isn't 8th of December, isn't that known as Bodhi Day? You might tell me in the comment if I've got that right or wrong. Where that is the day by tradition that the Buddha became enlightened. Now on the 12th of December, there is of course the famous feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe, and that is of particular affectionate celebration and time for the Latina and Latino members of the audience here. Then of course we have from the I think it's the 21st of December through to the 1st of January, Yule, or Yuletide, which for the pagan and Wicca members is of great importance because smack in the middle of it is, in the northern hemisphere, the winter solstice, where the sun, which looks like it's dying as each day becomes smaller and smaller, shorter and shorter, turns around and the light becomes greater and greater again. And that's on December 25th, roughly, which was, in keeping with the astronomy, the day of Sol Invictus in ancient Roman times, Sol being sun, Invictus meaning unconquered, the unconquerable sun. Now neither the Romans, of course, nor the Egyptians before them with the sun god Ra, neither of them were of the opinion that the sun itself, that fiery thing in the sky, was God or a god. Not at all. They saw it rather as symbolic, a metaphor for the action of the divine into the affairs of the cosmos and into the affairs and lives of humans in particular. And that 25th of December, of course, is also important to the massive Christian community around the world, being the traditional birthday of Jesus Christ. So great happiness to everybody, whatever the celebrations are. I don't think there's anything of particular note for the Hindu or Muslim members of the audience during December, but if I'm wrong, no offense intended, and let me know, and we can make sure that we at least mention it in next month's reading. But we're going to take 5 cards now, because 5's all we need, isn't it, to see what there is in store for you. And so what are they? They are Strength. Isn't that an interesting card? The Queen of Discs. Beautiful, beautiful, yes. The Magician. Oh, there's a Metatron, a cube. I'll tell you what that is in just a moment. What might there be from in here somewhere? You think there's going to be something good? The Three of Cups. Well, I can tell you that that is superb. And what might there be in here? And the Five of Cups to balance it. Well, why don't you come sit down here next to me? We'll have a good close look at these cards together while I do the reading for you. There now, I think you can see those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's look at this card here first for you, shall we? This is Strength. Very often also, well, at least in one deck, the Thoth deck, it's also called Lust. I actually prefer the name Lust, and the reason that I'll get to it is here in just a moment. But to start with, I also call this card here the Daughter of the Flaming Sword. Now, this is the sun ruling Leo with Uranus exalted. And so I think what we have here for you is, I think, a real passion for something. It could be a person or it could be an activity. There's a great degree of multi-dimensional creativity around you at the moment. Certainly your talents are going to be coming to the fore. There's strength here and the integration of animalistic energies, and you'll be overcoming old fears and conditioning. The card itself is one where there is, well, what I assume is a naked woman sitting astride a lion, her hands clasped together with this string of pearls coming down. And I think what this is also talking about here for you then is that this is a representation of divine intoxication, divine ecstasy, even a divine madness. Well, maybe you need to be mad to sit astride a lion in this way. Now, the woman may well be intoxicated. The lion is also inflamed by lust. This refers not only to strength, but to the joy of strength exercised. It is vigor and the rapture of vigor. Now, lust refers to a lust for life, a lust for living. Now, I think what we can see here is that, of course, lust reveals its valuable creative potential only when fully tasted or savored and drunk in. Only then can it be understood and be implemented in your own process of becoming aware. The way to the light passes through all aspects of darkness, of course. I think here that you may well be challenging conventional views on what a spiritual path should be like, and what qualities are needed to pursue, or maybe even teach the spiritual way. You definitely hear the messages that you are not going to be punished by God, because God has no moral issue about your love life. Guilt and self-inflicted punishment are wrong in this area. This could be relating to you having a passion for a particular situation, I say, but it is about you engaging with life to the fullest, and also with being comfortable with your sexuality. Accept your carnal desires for what they are, rejoice in them, but don't let them throw your life out of balance. Now, it's quite possible here that there is a passionate relationship about, with a strong sexual and emotional intensity. It could also be that you are doing something because you love doing it without overanalyzing it. If you are ready to accept all which you find in yourself, you'll be able to move through everything with deep sensitivity, awareness, love, and understanding. Now, what areas of your life would you like to live out more fully? What has prevented you from doing so in the past? Are you ready to deal with this anew? Take everything in now with more awareness. Do you know, we often experience emotions such as love, sadness, pain, rage, or fear as obstacles only because we have never learned to use them as potential energy. And say this to yourself at this time: I enjoy expressing my energy, vitality, and enthusiasm in all I experience. I am a person of character and strength. I have unlimited creative resources to tap into and express, and I enjoy living life to the utmost. Right, well, let's have a look, shall we, at this Queen of Discs. Okay. All right, my darling, what do you have to tell us today? What do you have to tell my friend here? This Queen of Discs. Look at these diamonds dropping from her as if they were tears. Do you know that the Greeks and Romans thought diamonds were tears of the gods, pieces of stars fallen to earth, or even that they were living beings that possessed a soul? Diamond comes from the Greek word adamas, which means invincible or unconquerable, as diamonds are the hardest substance known to us, aren't they? All of these things could also describe the soul and an individual person such as yourself. Tears of God, descended star, unconquerable and strong, possessing of a soul, precious and ancient. Well, this Queen of Discs tends to these things, providing an environment where things can grow slowly and beautifully. There is pressure too, and the pruning and shaping, as with the cultured rose garden behind her. It's in her garden, with all of the elements in perfect harmony, that you live your life, sustained by her milk, food, water, air, life. She is, in a sense, the face of the feminine form of divinity. Now, these court cards, as you will probably understand from my previous readings, can refer to either male or female, irrespective of how they happen to be drawn. Now, I think that the people important to you at this time are going to be Capricorn and Sagittarius. I call her the Queen of the Thrones of Earth. She is a woman who is ambitious, affectionate and kind, charming, maybe timid at times, practical though, maybe quiet, and maybe domesticated as well, I think, in that she enjoys doing things around the home and enjoys developing and interacting with family and friends. She's ambitious, but she works with instinct and intuition rather than intellect. In the sense, she's saying to you for this month to be quiet, hard-working, practical, sensible. Do you know, people represented by this card possess the finest of the quieter qualities, but they also can, in a reticent and unassuming fashion, actually be quite sexy and lusty and almost predatory in their pursuit of a sexual goal. And sometimes they can be involved with drinking and drugs, almost as if they can only realize their essential happiness by getting out of themselves. There is a great degree of fruitfulness around her. Physical nourishment is very important at this time for you. And I think what she represents here is that I think perhaps you might be overcoming what could be perceived as something of a barren past. She is, I think, suggesting that this is a time to go with the flow. Keep practical, be compassionate, and have a nurturing attitude to others and to your own circumstances. Now, she does represent health and diet, I think, so this is something that you do need to be aware of during this period. And go forward quietly, without any overt attack upon existing situations. I think you have passed through an arid stretch on your journey so far, haven't you? And now you are arriving in more fruitful surroundings. Now you can rest and devote some attention to yourself and to your physical needs. You might ask yourself, in what ways have you neglected your body, your outer self? Do you indulge yourself too much? Devote more attention to your health and physical beauty than you have until now. Now, I don't mean to say that you are not physically beautiful. In fact, it's well known that Libra women are the most beautiful in the zodiac. Libra men, also those who have great charisma and charm. In fact, if you look at the list of actors and actresses and famous musicians, generally, who are in front of the public eye, generally there is a very strong Libra influence in their chart. And say this to yourself now: I give my body the gift of loving attention. It gives me the gift of life energy, joy in living, and health. Well, what is sitting beneath her? As I think she has probably, maybe even, she's looking directly down at this card. So I think it's important. She may have something to say. Let's have a look. See what it is that comes forward, shall we? Here it is, the Five of Cups. Well, in the center is a garden of paradise. It has 2 trees with ripe fruit, figs and pears that clothe and feed woman and man. A forever green, fragrant lawn, a waterfall, and in the heart of it is a well that leads to another world. This small well is the mother of 3 great rivers that etch the landscape into deep canyons, gorges, and ravines before rejoining the ocean thousands of miles away. Now, guardian of this well is a pure white unicorn with I think might be the 8 legs of the horse called Sleipnir, which was the horse that Odin, the king of the Norse gods, rode. And I see here that there is, you might be able to make it out, there is therefore also Chiron's key over the horse's heart and over the mouth of the well. Now, here there is maybe something of a bit of a loss in pleasure of something. First of all, I'll say here, number 5, I have Mars associated mystically with the number 5. And in the astrology, I also have Mars again, this time ruling the first decan of Scorpio. Well, we'd expect a really positive aspect to this card because Mars rules Scorpio. But it is taking place against the backdrop of this number 5 numerology. And so we have all this extra fire from Mars, which comes in and evaporates the waters of Scorpio. So there's some feeling here, I think, of unfulfilled expectations, maybe a sense of loss of balance, maybe problematic relationships or unexpected disturbances. Maybe your expectations with respect to something were too big, some unexpected event, perhaps only a thoughtless reaction has ruined them abruptly. Now the aggressively destructive energies now dominating the scene have probably been smouldering beneath the surface for a longer time. You overlooked them, perhaps because you didn't want to admit to their existence. You ignored the warnings of your inner voice, but now you have to face the sobering facts and look them in the eye. But every disappointment, remember, contains the possibility of an important learning experience. Maybe things aren't necessarily going to, with respect to something, this is not with respect to everything, but with respect to something, maybe won't work out as expected. But this card is saying don't wallow around in self-pity and regret, because new and better experiences are in store. Maybe you're feeling disappointed by someone else's actions. Well, find it in your heart to forgive them, because forgiveness releases you. It doesn't release them. Now, I have to say that the feelings that surface when this energy comes around can often tend to give you fear of taking another risk or making an effort in the future or hiding away in some place where you can't be disappointed again. Maybe there was some previous disappointment. Yesterday is previous after all. It's not now. The now, which is where you live, is what is important. But because this has shown up, your soul is urging you to release this disappointment. Maybe forgiveness is called for, as I say. That act of forgiveness releases the forgiver, because it is the forgiver who is in chains. And I think that this is going to happen over a period of 5. So I think that maybe either too much high expectations of yours could be crushed, or somewhere deep inside you lurks the fear of some disappointment. Well, now is a good time to learn from this situation. In what areas of your life do you fear disappointment, you should ask yourself. What have you learned from the disappointment you've received in the past from now? How can you prevent disappointment? Say this to yourself: I get to know my own reality by learning to see where I fool myself or deny my inner voice. But you are nevertheless being protected and comforted by this divine feminine, which is looking down upon you at this time. And this divine feminine says, "Hear me and understand me well, my youngest and dearest child. Let nothing frighten nor grieve you. Let not your heart be disturbed. Do not fear that sickness, nor any other sickness or anguish. Am I not here, who is your mother? Are you not under my protection? Am I not your health? Are you not in the crossing of my arms? What more do you need? Well, I think that takes us logically to this card in the center here, which is the Magician. Now, let's have a look here. What an interesting picture there is. Now, just as the Fool in the Tarot is nothing, the Magician is everything. It contains everything, and everything flows from it. The Magician stands between the primordial mother hidden beneath the surface of the water, down here, and the primordial father with his son and with his infinite lemonscape. That's the infinity symbol that you see there. Now, these two trees, to me, appear to be a doorway between the spiritual and the material world, and the Magician, cloaked in earth, is handing you a Metatron's cube. Now, I mentioned that there was a Metatron's cube here. A Metatron's cube is it's sacred geometry. It's a two-dimensional representation of 13 circles with a line drawn from the center of each circle to the other 12 circles. And so you end up with this pattern here. It means the great unfolding and flowering that's about to take place for you. Now, Metatron is an archangel mentioned in several ancient apocryphal, mystical texts. Now, no one knows exactly where he comes from, I don't think, or what his name actually means, I don't think, though people do have various theories, nothing of which is substantiated. But he is bound to the will of God. He is notably in the Book of Enoch, an ancient mystical, Kabbalistic text. Enoch was a scribe taken up by God through ascension. He didn't die, he ascended to heaven rather than dying. And after experiencing all of the incredible visions and workings of heaven and hell, past, present, and future, he was himself transformed into the angel Metatron, or archangel, really, I should say, and he replaced Michael as the most preeminent of the angels. Metatron is an ascended human, which is important to know. Now, the other thing is that the planet Mercury is very important influence around this card here. Mercury balances with great skill things that need to be balanced between gods and humans. He is a genius at using all the possibilities available to him. In his duality, Mercury stands for truth and falsehood. He brings all set ideas and judgments into question, which often make him appear in a questionable light himself. As a creative creature, he knows no conscience. He uses all tools, all methods to arrive at his goal. The temptation to misuse his talents is great. His ability and skill lend him superiority and power. He moves on the narrow line between white and black magic. This means he needs constant self-examination. He can use his talents in a self-seeking manner or in the service of love and light. I think what we have here for you is that there is a great degree of communication skill, playful dealings with all possible forms of communication here, a flexibility in your outlook on life, and there's almost like a brilliance about you at the moment. There's action, power, manifestation of ideas and desires, willpower. You may be something of a smooth talker, I think. Also get the feeling of a desire for self-employment around here. You have at your disposal now brilliant capabilities which you should share with other people. One important task is to find or create the proper surroundings for your activities. In what areas lie your talents? With what methods and in what surroundings can you pass them on or share them? Visualize your ideal area of activity and describe it in detail to yourself. And say this: I create magic when I use my inherent gifts and talents. I honor the resources of skilled communication which are within me. The full expression of my creative potential fulfills me and makes me happy and satisfied. Well, then that takes us finally, I think, to this Three of Cups here. And this is interesting, isn't it? There's three here. Well, the waterfalls are energy flowing forth from the source to the earth, being grounded, literally a fall from heaven to earth. From there they rise up again in the shape of a tree. Now the silhouette of this tree is somewhat chaotic, branches winding and reaching up and reaching for each other, some strong and thick, hard from age, and some thin and spindly, new and flexible. They go in every direction, but always up, out, never where they started, and the result is a beautiful, one-of-a-kind tree, an individual growing in the sun. I think this represents all the elements in harmony. Now, being in the suit of water, it is depicted as three separate streams or souls, all moving together and parallel in the current of the divine towards the same destination. I think you begin and end in the same place, but you have your individual path to get there. And the most powerful thing you can do is find who you really are and follow your own path to reach that potential. In the meantime, there is for you at this period an overflowing exchange of love, rare, valuable feelings and perceptions which can be communicated intimately. Could well be gatherings and family gatherings going here. It's Mercury in the second decan of Cancer, you see. Cancer is the most maternal of the signs and well placed here, I feel. And Mercury is about will and communication. Cancer nurturing, so you can express your feelings fully with people you are close to, which enrich your life. Now the 8 also relates to messages and decisions. Truly, this is a time when you can say, today life gives me everything I need to be happy. Well, I thought that was really, really interesting. It looks like it's going to be a great month for you, and don't you deserve it? You really do, particularly coming up for this time of the year. It's busy for everybody, wherever you happen to be, and it's a wonderful time of year, and it's a wonderful time for you. Now also, don't forget, I have done a 2022 yearly calendar reading where I use some beautiful Renaissance art cards, 12 cards, one for each month of the year, which I think that you'll find delightful, and it's in particular, it points out what a good year it's going to be for you. But until then, have a look at that. But until then, I look forward to seeing you again next month. And remember though, always, and one thing, and it is this, that you are a legend. And I look forward to seeing you again next month. And until then, it's bye for now.